Hey guys, welcome back to the Suburban Black Girl Podcast.
Episode 27.
Yes, and today's topic is I think it's a tough one, but it's one that we all go through, and it's friendship breakups. So we're just going to talk about the pain, the loss, maybe the trauma, but also the healing and the moving forward that all comes with it. Friendships are definitely, there's so many different dynamics and pieces and moving
hmm
parts to it. And so I just feel like we should just break it down all the way and just
hmm
kind of really discuss it. So,
Period. Cheers.
cheers. Question number one. How will you describe the difference between a friend, an acquaintance, or someone that you're just cool with? So, I do categorize friends. I didn't used to, but the older I get, I've categorized my friends. But for me, I see my very close friends as my sisters. So for me, I think I categorize my friends as like my sisters, friends, and people I'm just cool with. I don't know. For some reason, I don't like the word acquaintance. I cannot say that word. Acquaintance. Like, that word to me always gives like 50-50, you're in or out. It's like either we're cool or we're not. Acquaintance just gives like, I don't know, she cool, but she's not like my friend like that. But for me, that's just kind of how I categorize my friendships. And so, of course, depending on that level of friendship, those are like some of the things that I don't want to say I require, but I would want in those certain levels of my friendships,
hmm
depending on the category that they're in.
hmm
Sisters are more so, the people that I can count on no matter what the situation is. Sisters are the ones to me that I can tell you whatever. You're not going to judge me or make me feel, you know, bad, but also you're going to tell me what it is and be open and honest with me. And I'm going to take the feedback, right? I'm not going to sit here and like throw low blows back at you. And the other categories, it's like, yeah, we're friends, we're cool, we may hang out a bit, but like you're not really gonna know what's truly going on 24/7 basis. You're not really gonna be in the know of just what I all have going on or maybe what I'm all up to or doing. And then of course, I think someone I'm just cool with, we just probably grab drinks together, surface level based, just conversations, dialogue. If you have a birthday party or a function, I'll come because it's like we're cool. Why not? But I think, no offense, that category probably wouldn't meet my family or meet, anyone really close to me. So I think that's how I would categorize the three different types of friends or whatever.
Yeah, I think you touched on a couple things that I definitely agree with. Like, I think there's a couple different factors that like go into the like those categories per se. I feel like a lot of it is like how long you've known someone,
Hmm.
but not just that, right? Because you can know someone for a long time, but they've just been an acquaintance for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's how much you trust them, right? Because I think as far as what you share with someone or how surface level or versus how deep it is, I think trust plays into that, right? Because you'll go
Hmm.
deeper with someone you feel more comfortable with or that you can trust, you'll share more.
Right.
Whereas if you don't trust someone or if you don't really know them that well, then it's gonna kind of stay surface level. And then I also
Hmm.
think, kind of like piggybacking off of that, is just the types of things that you do, like the more surface level friends or acquaintances, whatever you want to call it. Maybe those are people like you only hang out with in public in a going out setting, in like a drinking
Hmm.
setting. Um, but they're not necessarily people that you can invite over or would want to like invite over to just like do nothing with.
Right.
Right, like your closest friends you can sit on the couch and do nothing with.
Right.
Um, Whereas I feel like some friends, but definitely acquaintances, you're just going out to do things with and it's more surface. So I feel like some of those factors kind of determine where people fall.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that.
Mhm.
And it just made me think of like just a similar topic of just I think also depending on like the city you live in, I think us living here in Houston, it's harder to find good friends. And I think when you're in a city that has a heavy nightlife and a turn up and a drinking environment and culture,
Mm.
it does make it harder to find really good friends that you can have fun with outside of a club, bar, lounge, hookah spot setting.
Mm-hmm.
So it just made me think of like it has been a lot harder for me to find friends. Thank God I feel like I have enough really good friends and women I call sisters, but at the same time, I do think, we're kind of at a disadvantage being in a big city like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I just thought of that.
Yeah, and I think part of it is because, yes, nightlife is such a huge part of Houston, but I think also when people move to a new city and they're like, I feel like that's not the place to try to make friends. I feel
Right.
like when you move to, you have to do more wholesome things
Yeah.
because the same way, meeting a man in the club is maybe not necessarily the best way
Yeah.
to go about it. Sometimes I feel like the same thing can be for trying to make female friends. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean they're looking for um, real friends. They're looking
Right.
for friends to go do things with. So they're maybe, from what you described, are really just looking for more of an acquaintance,
Yeah. No, for sure.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's just so like that.
Yeah.
Has your standard of friendship changed as you've gotten older?
I'm not sure about standard of friendship, but I think my discernment has gotten
Mm,
better and just like observing people, learning to take them at face value and not ignoring my gut or my intuition on things.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I just allow people to be who they are, behave how they are, and then that's how you know how to categorize them, right? I think
Yeah.
I'm at a point where it's like I'm not really looking for friends. If something naturally transitions into that or develops or grows into that, then great.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm meeting anyone and like trying to pursue a friendship, if that makes sense. So it's like, I don't even know if it's like I have like some black and white standard of friendship. It's more just getting to know people and seeing how it naturally evolves
Hmm.
while, always keeping your third eye open
Absolutely.
and just trying to maintain strong discernment.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think discernment is everything in friendships,
Mhm.
just as much as they are in your relationships. But definitely, I mean, because, I think we've all been there where we've been completely somewhat blindsided in friendships, or maybe you felt it deep down. So then when it finally, it's right in your face, you're just kind of like, damn, I thought it was going to be different, or I didn't think you would be like that for real. For me, I would say, I used to be more of a like, I wanted friends by the quantity because it's like, it was cool growing up to have a lot of friends and be popular and have everyone like you and having, so many people come to your birthdays and
Yeah.
your celebrations or whatever you have that's, celebrating you, right? And so that was a thing. It's like the more people you had, the cooler you were or whatever.
Mhm.
But as I've gotten older, you know, I've realized it's like, okay, I have all these friends, but what is that really supposed to mean? You know what I mean? Not all of them really are true friends, or maybe they fulfill me in the ways that a friend should. So now more so, I'm bigger on the quality of my friends over the quantity. So I would say that's more so how I guess my standards would change if I could put it in that way. But yeah, I think as you get older, like you said, you start to you have so much better discernment about people, and you just have you pick up on different energy and vibes quicker than what you used to. And honestly, I think what me and you kind of talk about off camera is just like, okay, if you're treating this other person like that, or you're putting yourself in a situation like that, maybe with this man or any other toxic relationships out of the friendship that we have, maybe whatever you're doing over there, it will happen over here, it just hasn't. But it's like that possibly is who you truly are if that's how you're acting in that situation, but you're not acting like that situation over here right now at the current moment. But I feel like sometimes situations like that, it's like if you act one way in one aspect of a relationship, you're going to act that way in another.
Mhm.
So
Yep, and God, I feel like it's been like 5 episodes where I haven't said a quote.
it has been a minute. You're right. Damn. You've been off
Um,
your game, quote master.
Seriously. And I don't know if I've used this one before, but basically what you just described is something that's literally been engraved in my brain since I heard it,
Hmm.
and it's that people's behavior does not exist in a vacuum. Um, So to your point, if they act one way, I think I have said this before,
Yeah, I've heard it.
that if they do act one way in one area of their life, that character flaw is not limited to that area of their life. And I think I first heard it because it was a video on TikTok talking about, would you be friends with somebody that cheats on their partner?
Mm,
And it's like, at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with you, but it shows your character overall. It shows,
yeah.
potentially how you would be as a friend. You would be disloyal as a friend, or, same thing as, like, if someone's trying to go into business with someone and they know that they cheat on
Come
their
on.
spouse,
That's what I just thought about.
they might also do you dirty in business. Like, it's
Absolutely.
not just limited to their
Yeah.
romantic life. That's their character overall.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yes, that has been something that's been top of mind for me ever since I heard that quote. I guess going back to the question about, like, standard of friendship, the number one standard for me would just be the person's character,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because not everything is going to align,
Yeah.
but I think some of the biggest lessons I've had from adult friendships is just, it's just been people's character has been bad in other areas of their life, or they even talked poorly about other people they were friends with.
Right.
And I don't know why I naively thought that I was going to be immune to that. And I wasn't.
Yeah.
So, at all.
That is true. That's a great point, you know, because sometimes I think even though you're genuinely a good person and, all your other friendships and relationships are doing well, and even though that person may have like toxic friendships, you're like, well, I'm different because look at how all my friendships are over here. But I mean, you're right. I think eventually it's the same old story.
Yeah. And I think that's, for me at the time, was like a combination of being like naive, like, oh, well, I don't know. And honestly, I can't even explain it now because my brain now, my frontal lobe is fully developed and it's like, that was dumb. But I guess trying to explain my thought process at the time, it was just like, yeah, I don't know if I thought I was immune or
Mm,
whatever, but it's also like trying to find the balance of not judging your friend and, like, trying to see the good in them, but also
absolutely.
being like, this is a red flag.
Yeah.
So that's hard. And I feel like that's still something
Yeah.
I'm working on, is because you don't want to make anybody feel judged or like you're better than them. But it's also
Right.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
Mm.
And sadly, a lot of times we want to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Even though when it does crash and crumble, everyone's like, "I told you so."
Right.
But it's like, sadly, I still be trying to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Do you believe in giving friends different roles or levels, or should all friendships be treated equally?
No, all friendships should not be treated equally, because you can treat everybody equally, but that doesn't mean that everybody is going to return the same level of effort,
Yeah.
or loyalty or devotion or communication,
Yeah.
whatever it is. So, no, I definitely believe in categorizing your friends.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's more about managing your own expectations. Because a lot of times, is somebody necessarily doing something wrong? No. Like, they are who they are, they're showing up how they're showing up. And it's
Yeah.
up to you to decide if you still want to look at them as your best friend, or if you want to demote them to friend.
Right.
And then that's up to you to manage your effort level in return based off of that. Right. So you might have somebody who you consider a best friend, but they're not showing up for you, one, in the way that you show up for them, or two, they're not showing up for you in the way that you expect a best friend to show up. But
Right.
that's also on you. Like, you have that expectation of them.
Yeah.
And if they're not meeting it, you can't control other people's behavior.
Right.
And you end up suffering when you don't manage your own expectations properly, because
Very true.
you can have these expectations of somebody and they don't meet up, they don't live up to them. And then it creates all this animosity built up, with inside of you. But at the end of the day, you just have to manage, okay, they're not showing up for me in the way I need. Maybe you can communicate it, but any built up anger or resentment. Like, that's on you.
Yeah.
And you then have to demote them or realize, like, okay, I can't expect this of this person, unfortunately. But that also prevents you from suffering. And so I've even had to learn that with friends that I've been friends with for 10 plus years, expecting them to show up for me on a, in a certain way when it came to my birthday or whatever it was, and they didn't. That doesn't mean I need to like cut them off or whatever.
Yeah.
It just means, okay, quite frankly, I probably just won't extend the invite, or I'm not going to break my neck to make it somewhere for your birthday because you're not doing it for me.
Right.
And as somebody who can be sensitive or stuff like that would hurt my feelings, like now it no longer does, because I'm, like I said earlier, seeing you for who you are, taking your actions and your effort level for what it is at face value, and managing how I want to move, because that's all we can do is control ourselves, our expectations and our effort level in return. And so, yeah, I'm totally down for the meeting people where they're at the category they deserve to be in. It's almost like a puzzle piece. Like you're trying to fit someone
Right.
into a space that they just don't belong in.
Correct.
And you're only pissing yourself off.
Absolutely.
Like leave them where they fit in.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I think because there's points in my life where, I expected friends to show up the way that I show up. And I realized at one point, I looked up, I was like, I had barely had any friends left because were holding all my friends to a certain standard and a level that they honestly just couldn't keep up with. And so, that made me realize, like, you know what? Yes, some friends are honestly just not able to, or they're not capable of doing certain things. Even now, like, there's things that some friends do where it's like, oh, hell no. And it's like, honestly, that friend is in a different category. It's fine. Like, sadly, I know that that is all she's capable of doing. Does she show up all the time? No, but she does show up. So it's just like, but I know how to categorize that friend, and I know what really ticks me off about certain friends and what doesn't. Like I've had to work on that though, because before it's just like, I would be so quick to just crash out or be like, I'm so over this friend, because it's just like, it's like, why? Like, why?
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like you said, you can't really control the people's behaviors, and nor can you control their emotions. You can only control yourself, like you were saying. So it's just kind of like, I had to remind myself of that, because it's like, I started to realize I'm more upset than them. And it's like, that's not fair to me.
Right.
So yeah, no, I'm the same way. That's why I'm super big on just like, I have my sisters and then friends and acquaintances.
Yeah.
And that just helps me a lot.
Yeah.
And, I take that very serious. Like I've learned to not let friends make me upset like I used to. And sadly, I think after learning and, a lot of friendship losses, you start to just, it becomes easier. I hate to say it, as you continue to lose people. And then you start to see that, I mean, if you're not losing sleep over the situation, or, you're not thinking about it, or it's not weighing on your heart, then hey, it was time for that chapter to close. And once you kind of get to that mindset of just like, hey, this is just where your friendship ends, that's just kind of how it is. And that's once I kind of just see the positive of just a friendship or a relationship ending, it just helped me a lot, because not everyone is going to obviously continue to grow through life, through each level of life as you continue to elevate. Like they say, everyone's not coming. So I hate to say it, when I lose friends, I'm like, well, that means God's finna level me up.
Right.
We going up another level.
Right.
And to be honest with you, when I look back and I see friends that are no longer my friends, I'm like, yeah, you were not going to be able to handle me at this level based on the little, things that you were, little microaggressions and things you were doing back then. I'm like, it wasn't going to ever work out. So,
Right.
yep, that's how I be feeling now.
I also think too, something that's worth, I guess, doing and being mature about, and part of healthy relationships, friendships, whatever it is, period, is just communication, right? So if somebody does let you down, or you do feel disappointed by them not showing up, or disappointed by their actions, whatever it is, I do think it's fair to have a conversation or let them know. Because sometimes people just, maybe are not aware, or they actually can live up to that best friend. It was just a moment in time where they dropped the ball or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So, but yeah, then there's times where you communicate and it backfires and it's like, okay, I'm going to leave you right there
Yeah.
where you're at. So, and I think being able to do that shows that you're an adult and it shows like emotional maturity. And I think, yeah, when you go back to your question earlier about like the standard of a friend, I think for me, that's something I've realized is that people that can communicate in a healthy way. Like I don't like people that are passive aggressive, or people that will just, I guess, let the animosity or whatever it is build up inside of them and then not address it with me.
Yeah.
I don't like when people are passive aggressive, and I don't like when people expect you to be a mind reader.
Oh my God, absolutely. Right.
And I actually don't respect that approach at all. So, I'm not the most overly like blunt or direct person, right? But yeah, I just don't respect when people can't come to you when there is an issue.
Right.
So it's like, either come to me with it and let's find common ground and resolve it, or quite frankly, shut the fuck up because, or don't say anything at all. Because
Exactly.
I just do not like when people are passive aggressive, or yeah, they really just like expect you, even like with the passive aggressive, it's almost them expecting you to read their mind. Like,
No, of course.
it's like, well, no, you didn't. If it's not directed, it's not respected for me.
Period.
As bad
That's
as
another
that sounds.
quote.
And honestly, that sounds harsh, but it's just like, I don't think that's fair to anybody.
Right.
It's not fair to me, but it's also not fair to you because you're not even getting the problem resolved because you're not being straightforward. Like,
right.
So, and I think that also something about that irritates me. It's immature.
Yes.
It's emotionally immature.
Right.
Because you're like fake lashing out instead of just, I guess, being emotionally mature enough to be vulnerable and say, hey, something that you did hurt me.
Right.
And yeah, I can't be bothered with that.
No, like for sure. And that's honestly, to your point, is why I call my close friends my sisters, because I feel like when you have sisters, I mean, I don't have a sister, but I know based off of just, people that have sisters, it's like sisters talk through it. They work through it. They may fight, but it's like, you're going to talk that shit out. If you have an issue, a sister's going to address you and literally tell you what it is, and you're going to move on and say, I love you, and move on. And so that's why I think I see my close friends as sisters, because it's like, we have those hard talks. And sometimes those conversations are really hard, to the point I'm like, honestly, you're showing me you love me just based off of like really giving me that real feedback. Like, even though sometimes it's like, damn, I didn't even see it that way. But like, I feel like a sister is just going to tell you exactly how it is. And you're going to work through that, versus being like, wash my hands clean of it and just walk away, because it's like your sister, that's your blood. You know what I mean? It's a for life thing. So that's honestly why I see my close friends as that. And that's how I feel like I like it to be, because it's like, I don't want to fall out over petty stuff. That's just like crazy. It's like, we're too old for this. And then when like situations where you fall out with people, you're like, that's it. And I hate the whole like no closure thing, or not being able to just have like a real conversation without us both fighting. It's like, at least let's just have a conversation. But it just sucks when things just kind of just go left unsaid, and it's like,
Yeah. And I think another thing too is, I think in a sense it almost shows you who your real friends are, because the people that are just, there's something about like, again, being emotionally mature and emotionally intelligent and actually understanding relationships is like, if you genuinely want to be friends with someone and be friends with someone for a long time, if you want to be in a relationship with someone and be in a relationship till you grow old and gray, like, that person at some point is going to do something to hurt you, do something to upset you. They're really going to do something to really disappoint you at some point.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to be mature enough to express it, vulnerable enough to express it. Be willing to communicate and be willing to like work through it. Otherwise, it's like, those are the people that have a new friend every other week.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, well, did you actually want to be my friend. Or I don't know, I think sometimes too, some people are just so emotionally immature or whatever it is that they cannot work through those things, or have difficult conversations. I think any relationship, whether it's, you know, parent child, romantic relationships, friendships, at some point a difficult conversation is going to have to be had.
Right.
And you have to be mature enough to be able to have it.
No,
And accept and be open to the other person's point of view. Because nobody's always right.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like everyone's side needs to be said. I hate when people like shut you down. That's like crazy. It's like, this is not, no, you're not gonna, you're not gonna win the conversation that easy.
Yeah. And it's because I always think that like there's a difference between intelligence and emotional intelligence. And that's why they're called two different things, right? Because you can feel like you did not do anything wrong in a situation, but emotions are not logical, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be able in relationships to validate people's feelings and know, okay, it wasn't your intention, you didn't mean it that way, whatever. But regardless, whatever you did made that person feel that way. And I also think you can validate people's feelings, but knowing that you didn't mean anything by it, or knowing that you maybe, like, at the end of the day, did you do something wrong? No, not always, but you can still validate what that person is saying, you know, and let them know that you didn't mean anything by it and that you completely understand where they're coming from, because we all have different perspectives. But I feel like I've had to learn that balance sometimes is where you can do something and somebody can be hurt by it, but there's a line and a boundary there where people try to make you feel like you did something wrong when you didn't. And that has been the biggest lesson for me, and why I've fallen out with people is I didn't do anything wrong. You felt some type of way about it, and you can let me know and I can validate your feelings, but putting so much blame on the person as if they did something, and it depends what it was. Like if I called you a bitch right now because we were arguing, like, then I'm dead wrong, right? But if I'm just living my life and maybe I haven't called you as much or whatever it is, it's like I'm not doing anything wrong. Like life gets busy.
Right.
Things change, priorities shift, whatever. Am I doing anything wrong by living my life? No. But I can validate the fact that maybe I haven't shown up for you as a friend in the way that you need. But for me, I feel like I've lost friends because it's like, hold on. Like, I don't want to say they're doing too much, but it's just like, I've lost friends because of unrealistic expectations.
Absolutely.
And again, going back to the buckets, other people need to put me in the bucket that they see fit, honestly. And again, that doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong. Like it's up, you have to manage your own and I feel like that's why I've lost friends, is because it's like, you're expecting me to like abandon my own needs to like,
and some friends are selfish like that.
Right. To like look like the type of friend that you want. And that's not fair.
Right.
So.
No, it's very true. And those, I hate to say it, those type of friendships are the most exhausting.
Yeah. You know, I'm always going to show up for people, but I think sometimes people expect you to completely and listen, there will be moments when it's like dire. I absolutely will drop whatever I'm doing if somebody needs me, but it's like, that can't be everything. It can't be just because you want to go get drinks on Friday and I say no. Like, okay.
I could not. Let's get into friendship breakups and the loss of them. So, how do you process the grief or pain of losing a friendship, especially when there's no clear breakup moment?
When there, have you lost friends where there's been no clear breakup moment?
Honestly, I feel like in the way I interpret that is more so maybe you have a friend that you no longer are cool with and you probably maybe didn't get the proper closure in that friendship. Sometimes I feel like you kind of just fall out with someone, but sometimes you don't really know why they fell out with you, or maybe why you think the way you feel about them. I've had friends like that where sadly we just never had that closure. And there's some where we had that closure. And at the end of the conversation, we decided, yeah, this isn't a good, we shouldn't be friends. And hey, if things change maybe later down the line, we can be cool again. But
Mm-hmm.
that's really how I feel. But sadly, I think that's a part of my personality. My personality too is that I am not really gonna go chase and run after a friendship that I know a friend that just did me wrong. Period. Of course, I don't mind speaking and like having that conversation, but I'm not the type of person that tosses and turns at night thinking like, God, what did I do wrong? I'm very big and open with, like I said before, feedback and criticism. So when I fall out with someone, I'm big on getting together with other close friends or my family, like, hey, here's the situation. Here's what I said to the honest to God truth. And this is what happened and this is what transpired. Then from there, I like to get feedback from like my close friends and family around me or even my therapist as far as like, did I handle the situation wrong or right? Or what should I have done differently? Or what should I do? And if I hate to say it, if everyone collectively is on the same side or thoughts that I feel, then I'm moving in that direction.
Yeah.
But if someone says, hey, Ashlyn, you're in the wrong for that because of XYZ, all right, I'll own up to that and I will go address that person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
No, I agree. I think it can be hard not having like clear closure
Yeah.
or whatever it is, but I think two things. One, like you said, I'll definitely like run down everything that happened
Yes.
in a therapy session just to, right? Because, like I always say, therapy is holding a mirror to your face, it's holding yourself accountable. And so, being honest, like, this is what happened, like, what could I have done better? What should I have done better? Or, you know, did I not do anything wrong?
Right.
One is, I guess, kind of a way of getting closure within yourself because you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to get it from the other person. But then, two, I think that's where sometimes like spirituality comes in and just like praying on it, but also, yeah, remembering sometimes people are removed for a reason. And
Yeah.
so I feel like for me, it's those two things. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely a very empathetic person. So I can tend to feel bad and like internalize whatever happened. Like, what should I have done differently? Da, da, da. So that's definitely why I like try to immediately talk about it in therapy because
Yeah.
something I'll have an issue with is like feeling bad or feeling guilt when like I really shouldn't and I didn't do anything wrong. And so, yeah. And it's like sometimes everything happens for a reason. People just need to go their separate ways and it just is what it is. It's just always sad. I mean, no one wants to lose a
Yeah.
friend. Yeah, and of course even after I know I didn't do anything wrong, it's still just like you don't want to see anybody hurt
Right.
or upset by anything you did, regardless. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have an ounce of empathy inside of you. So, yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm at the point now when like friendships end on a bad note and, someone's like, oh, whatever happened with so and so. And they're like, oh, what you mean y'all not friends anymore? And honestly, I don't even like to get into the drama. I don't want to relive it. And I don't honestly feel like if that's someone I consider my close friend or a friend at this point in life, we're not going to sit here and talk shit about that person. I just want to say we're not cool no more. It is what it is. And that's the end of the conversation. I hate when people want to sit up and chit chat about people that you literally were like besties with or super cool with. Like that's just messy. Like you said, it just didn't work out. Move on, move forward. Unless it's just some really bad stuff. Like, I don't know, she cheated, she like took your boyfriend or
Right.
cheated with your man or something crazy like that. But if it's nothing like that deep, then just move on from the situation. Like, it's like, I'm no longer talking about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, pushing forward.
Well, I think the other thing too is like the person that's going around like pleading their case talk is usually the person that's in the wrong.
Absolutely.
Because the person that's quiet saying nothing is usually the one that didn't do anything wrong.
Yes.
So,
Hashtag unbothered.
right.
Do you think some friendship breakups hurt more than romantic breakups? Why or why not?
Yes. I mean, usually, well, not usually. Sometimes, yeah, they're longer than if
It's true.
if it's
True
a
difference never
situation where
hurt.
it's like a 3, 4, 5 year friendship, whatever. Then
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Um, I don't know. I guess because I guess for me, I don't know. Deep down, you low key expect a man to disappoint you at some point. So
Shit.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
Um. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely have been super hurt by certain friendships not working out. Just because, sometimes you think these are friends that you can never live without or wouldn't live without
Mhm.
due to like this is like a tenured relationship or friendship. So sometimes it is really hard. And I think when it comes to like your friends and having a relationship, like a friendship with a woman, it's just like you have a deep connection with a man, but your connection with your female friend is just as deep, honestly, and sometimes deeper, right? Because they know you in and out and they just know everything about you a lot of the times. And so I have been through somewhere it definitely hurt and it took me some time to kind of get over or get through. And then also, I think it was harder for me because it's like sometimes when you fall out with one friend, it's kind of like a domino effect and you can fall out with the whole circle.
Yeah.
And that's truly what happened to me. I had a group of friends, and it's like I fell out with one, and it was just kind of like a domino effect. And thankfully, over the years, I've been able to repair a relationship with a lot of them,
Hmm.
but it still was never the same.
Hmm.
And it did hurt because those are like my core group of friends.
Hmm.
And, it made me feel like, damn, like, am I the problem? Am I the issue? But I think looking back now, it's just like I was really evolving and changing. I decided to transition and move to a whole new city. I was in a whole new job, environment, industry. And then from that, I was around a total different group of people. And so it's kind of like, you're changed, you're different. And it's like, no, I'm just growing, I'm evolving, and I'm just finding who I truly am.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the hard truth. That's another thing we really haven't really talked about is just far as just like evolving. And it's like when people see you as this one person and you change, it's like, no, I'm just evolving.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing with me, with a lot of my friendships in my younger 20s, is that the Ashlyn back then had no boundaries. She was very selfless. She never said no. She didn't speak up for herself. She didn't let people know how she truly felt. And so once I started to find my voice, then it was like oh, you switched up or you're this or you're that. And it's just like, no, I just got tired of people feeling like they can walk over me or treat me any kind of way. And so looking back, like I don't regret, finally finding my voice because I'm like, people started, no, I'm like, y'all are tripping. Absolutely not. So yeah.
Yeah. People don't like when you start setting boundaries
Mm-mm.
at all. At all.
And
They
that's
don't.
truthfully what it was, honestly.
People do not like hearing no.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess it's almost like the "you've changed, you've switched up" allegations. Yeah, you have. You don't lack boundaries anymore. You're not going to be doing things that you don't want to do simply to appease others. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, I have changed because I'm
Right.
I'm personally tired of suffering to make other people happy. I mean,
Exactly.
then suffering sounds dramatic, but it's like, I mean, constantly doing things you don't want to do. Yeah, who wants to live like that? So,
No.
um, yeah, boundaries is an ongoing journey,
Yeah.
but
Child, that's a whole segment with friendships. Get you some boundaries and you really gonna have some fallouts.
yeah, and I feel like I in some of the friendships I've lost in the past couple of years, that I think that was the common denominator
Yeah.
was there wasn't enough boundaries, and then once some started to get put into place, it was like hard no for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or people feel some type of way, and again, they don't communicate well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How do you navigate when you and a friend are just in totally different stages in life now? Maybe, you met the friend when you guys were single and now she's single and you're not. Or maybe she met you when we don't have kids yet, but
Mm,
you know what I mean? Like you're
yeah.
just in different stages, right? Because at some point, some friendships were on the same playing field, but obviously, as we talked about growing and evolving, we become on different, stages.
Yeah. I think that's hard because for me, I still want to show up for everyone. Yeah, when you I guess start to shift into a different timeline, your priorities change. And I think when you have truly secure friendships, then it's not an issue. But I
Mhm.
also think for me, regardless, even if I'm in a relationship now or whatever, like I still try to make sure that I'm making the time, but definitely still showing up, like, for very important events, right? Like I always
Yeah,
want to make sure I'm there, but and still checking in regularly. But I think the only way to have friendships that last a long time is to have friends that are secure, right?
absolutely.
Where they're not going to take it personally, where they're not going to make it about themselves.
Right.
Yeah. And people, I guess part of being secure is like, again, respecting people's boundaries and
Hmm.
priorities.
Yeah, I'm open to my friends and their changes. We're at the stage now where there's so many changes happening from like work to friendships to, weddings and engagements and children. And so we are at a lot of different stages now. And I feel like I do my best to embrace my friends in the stage that they're at and kind of meet them where they are. Like, if you're a new mom, I'm not going to be like, hey, girl, you want to like turn up tonight? Like,
Right.
girl, let's get brunch and bring the baby. Like, I'm that type of friend. Bring the
Mm,
baby.
mm,
No, girl, I don't want to bring him. Just bring the baby. Like, that's what I'm saying. I like to meet my friends where they're at. Like, I want them to feel comfortable in the stage that they're at.
mm.
I don't ever want them to feel like, damn, like she don't want to hang out with me no more because I have a baby now or whatever it may be. Because I know when I get to that stage, I don't want my friends to treat me differently, because I just, yeah, it's just so hard when it's like you have a new title or like you're in a new stage in life and people kind of switch up on you. So I'm big on just meeting friends where they're at. Maybe it's like, hey, girl, like I don't even feel like going out like that or doing this anymore. That's fine. We can
Yeah.
have a pool day. We can just chill at my house. So like I'm all about that because but I also think I'm a very balanced individual. Like I can be the chill friend, the turn up friend, the hangout friend, whatever type of friend. So I don't mind that. But I know that's not easy for everybody, right?
Hmm.
Because your expectation is like, well, you were my turn up friend or you were my church friend and now you're not that. So it's just kind of like we all just change though. But I've really learned to embrace my friends at each and every stage that they're at because I actually genuinely love to see the transition and the change and the growth in them because the change is typically growth. And so I'm all for that because sometimes, depending on the stage that they're in, I'm like, well, I want to get to that point or have that. So I actually embrace it,
Hmm.
honestly.
And I think that's what makes you a good friend because
Thanks, Lake.
people don't like when people are changing and growing and evolving or moving on to a different stage of life that maybe that they
Yeah.
want to be at but they're not at yet. That's why it's like, again, you have to have friends that are secure within themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, another reason why you, I don't want to say can't have friends that like want what you want or per se, but having friends that know, that can clap for other people and know their time
Yes.
will come is important too.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, like if you got a promotion and someone's looking to get promoted at their job, or they are just looking for a job, period, or if somebody really wants to get into a relationship and then you get into a relationship, like somebody that can be happy for you and secure within themselves and know that like their time will come.
Right.
Um,
For sure.
because then they can be okay with you transitioning into that next chapter or next step or whatever it is without feeling some type of way.
Right. No, like I totally agree with that. And I'm super big on cheering my friends on, when they reach certain milestones or whatnot, because it's just like, yeah, sometimes those are things that I want to myself, but it's just kind of like, hey, it's just not your time.
Yeah.
And we have to have that outlook, and not everyone does. But, I feel like when you don't have that outlook or being positive or cheering your friend on, it's like, you really not going to get it now.
Yeah.
Because if you can't even embrace your friend having it, why
Mm.
would God reward you with it?
Ooh.
So hate to take it there, but
But that also just made me have a thought too, like going back to the boundaries topic is like friends that are codependent are never going to be able to clap for you moving on to those next stage. It might not be jealousy, but it's like if you physically, if they cannot have access to you in the same exact way, or you be there at the drop of a dime the way you used to be, yeah, it's like codependent, or again where the boundary is like not there, or it's very blurred as far as no, we are two individuals, you are not me,
and I'm not your man.
Yes, I was really trying to avoid taking it there, but yes, I've definitely had a couple friends that are no longer friends where it's like, okay, whoa, I want to be here for all of my friends. I want to support all of my friends. But what you are expecting of me is unrealistic.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the I am me and you are you gets lost sometimes, is like when it gets to an extreme level, it's like that person is expecting you to behave exactly how they want you to behave. And it's like they stop looking at you as an individual. Yeah, I don't know. I think that plays into the whole codependency thing. And then that's why people can't clap for you, or they can't accept things changing.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, gets a little scary sometimes.
No, I mean, it truly does, because I think a lot of us can relate to that, where we have these codependent friendships, right? And, sometimes you're thinking it's all kiki, and it's kind of like, oh shit, like my friend is like really like kind of like very codependent, kind of obsessed, kind of in love with you. And it is hard, and you start to see that as you transition in life, right? In different stages, and it's kind of like you really don't have the same amount of time that you used to have, depending on what you have going on. And I've had to go through several friendships of where things are kind of different, or we may are no longer friends because, yeah, like I just can't show up for you in that way anymore. And sometimes I have to tell certain friends no, just because it's like I cannot continue to overextend myself, because I don't want you to continue to think that I'm just going to continue to show up or be there, right? Because it's like that's unfair to me. It's not like I can be there 24/7 all the time during your beck and call. Like I cannot sadly be there every time in person, on the phone, FaceTime. Like barely sometimes a text, depending on what's going on. You know what I mean? But some friends are very codependent, and it's kind of like, y'all, please, we are all at the age. It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Like, please, give us grace, please.
Right.
I think we should continue to talk about that though, because this is a good one.
Oh God.
And a lot of us can relate to the transition of, when you're obviously a single woman and you're hanging out with your friends and it's a great time, and then friends start to get in relationships and marriages, and then they have children. So let's kind of talk about, have you ever been in a situation where, your friendships change once you get in a relationship? And, how do you kind of handle that transition or the change? Whether it's happened to you, or maybe your friend got in that, relationship and you kind of felt a way about her being in a relationship now, or something like that.
I think it's almost the same thing, right? Like that we were talking about in the very beginning, where it still goes back to managing your own expectations. So if somebody was single with no prospects and y'all are, able to talk on the phone all the time and and now that person's in a relationship, okay, well now you have to manage your expectations that they might not answer every time you call, or they might not be able to hang out as much or every weekend like they used to, or they might not want to do certain things anymore, period, right? Like for me, for example, like there's just certain environments I don't want to be in anymore because I'm out of respect for the person that I'm with. And so whatever end you're on of that, like if that's your friend and they've now gotten into a relationship, then like you have to expect that.
Yeah.
they might not want to be in the section in the club with you anymore. And it doesn't have to be some negative thing where they're switching up or they're changing. Yeah, so again, it's managing your own expectations. And that doesn't mean you need to like demote them as a friend, but it's realizing what that friendship is going to look like or how they show up for you it might change a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference when someone gets into a relationship and they just fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah, that's where it's
That's
like, okay, girl.
That's a different
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my piece of advice there would just be it's the same thing. It's just again, seeing where that person's at and accepting it and managing your own expectations of them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely. And, I always give my friends grace, especially within the first couple months, because I've been there where I've gotten in relationships and have kind of completely just like you said, just fell off the face of the earth. And, I never want to do that again because it took me a while to repair my friendships and my relationships with my family due to previous relationships like that were just kind of like, just had me just so, just yeah, just like conjoined twins basically. So I'm big on giving my friends grace the first couple of months because when you obviously get in a relationship or you have a child now or whatever it may be, you got to get used to that. And it's an adjustment, it's a change, it's it's adding onto already your full plate.
Yeah.
So I'm big on like, let's just give them time. And if it still doesn't kind of change or get better in a few months, then yeah, there's a certain way that you can address it. But it's like I think sometimes we don't give our friends enough grace as they transition into, different just levels of life or stages. Because it's like, why would you want your friend in the same place that you met them in? Like, that's crazy.
Right.
Because of like, if the shoe's on the other foot, wouldn't you want grace? So I'm big on like, whatever I give, I want to receive, and whatever, vice versa. So yeah, because your time will come and you want everyone to embrace you and understand you the same way, so.
Agreed. Totally.
What's been the most helpful thing for you in healing from a friendship breakup?
Listening to my body. Like, if you low-key feel relief, then that was a sign. Like if you don't even really find yourself really missing that person, or quite frankly, like again, if you were feeling really anxious or because there was a lack of boundaries or whatever, and all of a sudden you're not friends anymore, and yes, you still feel bad because you're not an asshole, but if also a part of you feels relief that you're not having to live up to somebody else's expectations or whatever, I think that is a sign. That helps me.
I mean, you're very right about that, right? When you're not losing sleep over it. Honestly, for me, as cliche as it sounds, when one door closes, another one opens. So I do believe in, I've said it before, any friendship that I've ever lost, I've always gained a way better friend in the future. So for me, it's not one of those situations where it's really no love lost, to be honest with you. And that's just kind of like how you have to just shift your perspective. But I'm just like that in all aspects of my life because not everything works out, right? But there is better to come. You just kind of have to be patient for it and wait for it. Sometimes it doesn't come next week nor next month. Right. Sometimes it takes years, but eventually it does come. So yeah, that's really how I feel like I get through those friendship breakups.
Trusting in God, honestly.
Absolutely.
Pray on it. And if you're not directed to reach back out or whatever, I don't know. It's also a sign too. If really good things start happening, then right after.
Yeah.
It's like, don't mess with it. Just leave it where it's at.
No, for sure. For sure. And like I said before, I think it's big to get, other opinions outside of your own, people that have had, conversations or been around that individual to kind of see like, hey, based on your observation or your experiences with that person, was I right or wrong? Or tell me, what do you think? And I think when you get that reassurance as far as like, nah, you're not tripping, I thought the same thing, or, they're kind of telling you the same thing that you thought that they thought, and you're like, oh shit, we thinking that we on the same page.
Or when they're like, yeah, I never liked her. It's like,
yeah, it's like, ouch.
Oh, thanks.
Right. Thank you for telling me right now.
Thanks for letting me know.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it happens though. It truly does happen. Well, yeah, guys.
I think we're good.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Friendship Breakups.
Snip, snip.
Thank you. Next.
Seriously. Except it's not really next for me because it's like
I know you're tapped out with first break.
I'm
Oh my
like-
gosh. I'm like, I don't mind more friends. It just has to be the right ones, honestly.
I agree.
Just the right
It's just
ones.
I'm not looking
Yeah.
because girls are weird. That's what this episode
That
gonna
is
be called.
true.
Girls are weird.
That's true. We can listen. That's a whole different episode.
It is.
Yeah.
Send in your girls are weird stories.
Because honestly, just that title alone, like, let's talk about it.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. I think we can run that segment another time for sure.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right, guys. See you next week. Bye.